So fairway woods, really, really useful club to use on the course, but a club that a lot of amateur golfers struggle with. Typically, I see people topping or hitting these a little bit thin and along the ground and not getting as much out their fairway woods as possible. So how to gain a little bit of confidence with the fairway woods? How do we set up a little bit differently and swing this club so we can have a little bit more success and get consistent long fairway wood shots on the course? So first of all, it's important to understand the difference in the design of this head. So if you look at the difference of this compared to an iron head, you're going to see a much flatter sole and a much thinner face. And because it's a thinner face, it's really, really important that I strike this slightly higher up in the face than I would do for an iron shot. The reason a lot of amateur golfers struggle with this is partly because it's a little bit longer, so the margin for error is a little bit lower, and partly because typically they strike a little bit too low at the club face. And the reason for that generally is because this is a low lofted shot, and because amateur golfers might struggle getting enough club head speed, typically people will start to pick these off the ground a little bit too much. And the way that looks is hanging back on the shot and trying to help it up in the air too much. But you can see as I do that, by missing the ground, I'm really exposing the bottom of this club, and it's going to be really easy for me to thin the shot. So it's important as we're hitting fairway woods that we're actually hitting these a little bit more on the way down. So even though they're lower lofted, to launch them up in the air, we need to strike higher out the face. And the way we strike higher out the face is actually by hitting down on the ball a little bit more. And this is the same if you're hitting from a tee or if you're hitting from a nice lie in the fairway. If I'm putting this on a tee, I would tee it at a height where it is similar to a really good lie in the fairway. Again, if we tee these too high, we're gonna get used to the fact that we're trying to hang back on them and hit them higher up in the air, which again, might give you a better struck fairway wood shot, but it's gonna be a bit higher and a bit softer, and it's not gonna come off the face as well as if we're hitting down and into it and getting almost a little bit of compression on these shots. So what I think is really important here is to make sure as you're hitting these, you're trying to hit down and into them, and you're getting a really good transfer of weight onto the front leg like this. And the reason the transfer weight is so important is we know that the ball for a fairway wood needs to be a little bit further forward to compensate for the fact that there's not a huge amount of loft on these clubs. So in order for me to strike down on this and hit the ground after the ball, I need quite a big transfer of weight this way. So a really nice goal for you, really simply next time you play, is every fairway wood shot you have, whether it's good or bad, you're finishing in a really full position like this. And this gives me a much, much better chance of striking the ground after the ball than if I was to finish the swing in a slightly less full position like this. And again, out on the course, lies are different. I'm playing from a nice flat lie like here, but realistically out on the golf course, these are few and far between. So I think having a couple of practice swings before you hit your shot to get used to the lie that you're playing from, and making sure you're comfortable that even though the lie is different, you're still hitting down and into the ground is really, really important. Another tip I think is really important here, particularly for amateur golfers, is to make sure, even though this is longer and we need it to go a long way, we've got a backswing length that is really nice and controlled. The longer the club goes back, the more control I lose over the club head and the harder it is going to be to find the ground in the right place. And because, like I said, this is longer and lower lofted and we play it further forward in the stance, we need a bit of precision in terms of that ground contact. So we're going to give ourselves a better chance if we can get to a backswing position that is a bit shorter and a little bit wider. Again, from here, there is less distance to travel in order for me to get the ground after the ball, and it should make getting through to that big full finish position a little bit easier. So if you're struggling hitting your fairway woods, a couple of things to make sure you do. Ball position should be just forward of center, and if you're teeing this up, we're teeing it as if it's a good lie in the fairway and not any higher than that. And then from there, we're trying to make a short, compact backswing where we get a full turn, a full range of motion, but we don't let our arms bend in this way. And from that shorter, wider backswing, we're trying to get through to a really big full finish position as we strike the ground. And generally speaking, the fuller your finish position and the more you transfer your weight through, the later on you hit the ground and the better success you're going to have with fairway woods.